Is anybody brave enough to show their faces? Hey, there's one.
Hi, how you doing?
Is that Saf? Is that how you pronounce it, Saf? Susan?
Perfect. Hi. Good to see everyone.
Yeah, very good.
Everyone's just filtering in now.
You don't have to, everyone, by the way. We're not asking you to show your faces, but it's just good to see people's faces, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah.
Because we're much happier running seminars and speaking to people personally. So the next best thing is seeing your faces on here. So have that bit more connection with people.
Great. Everyone's in now. There'll be some more people later on. So,
well, Adam, I'll just go through the disclaimer now, mate, if you want, while people are coming in.
Let's do it.
I'll just get that out of the way because there might be a few more people coming in, mightn't they? Right, everyone, I'll just get this bit out of the way before we get started. We have to do this every single time we run any webinars or seminars or anything like that. We're not financial advisors. We don't ever wish to be a financial advisor, to tell you the truth. We don't wear shirts and ties and suits. We're just normal people that do a lot of research, and we have a lot of knowledge now. And within the banking system, the banking arena, precious metals arena, and we share that information with you. So we're not financial advisors, we're financial educators, and we make people financially aware. We share our experiences, our knowledge. We've actually worked with ex-bankers in the past. Well, we still do, Adam, don't we, at times? Mm-hmm. And we tell, well, these bankers now work with the light, they don't work with the dark side anymore. And they helped us, they've told us the truth about money, how it works, the whole system. And all we do is we share it with you. We go out and tell everybody. We make you aware, and we put the ball back in your court. That's what we're all about, is helping you be in a better place financially. And we've learned over the years, over the many years of doing this now, we haven't just started doing this, we've been doing this for many, many years. We've learned that if you do the same as the masses, if you do what the masses do, if you do what the 95% of people do, you'll end up where the 95% of people are, and they're not in a good position worldwide, not just in the UK, worldwide, financially, because the system is corrupted and it works in the wealthy's favour and not ours.
It's rigged.
It's what? Sorry, rigged.
It's rigged.
Yes, it's rigged. They design the system, they control the system, and we just do as we're told. Well, we don't do as we're told. We step out of that system. We show people how to step out of that box. Is that the best way to explain it, Adam? To step out of that box and do things differently. If you don't do things differently, if you don't do things differently, you'll just end up where everybody else is. So, and this is so simple. This one part of the business, or this one thing that we do, we do several things. This is mainly what we do now, is precious metals. But it's so simple. When you get it, when you understand it, actually buying precious metals and saving in precious metals is so easy. It's so easy. All you do is swap in currency for precious metals, and you'll be better off down the line for doing that. But we're going to be sharing some information with you tonight. Just bear with us. We will share this video on our YouTube channel if you want to go on there and subscribe. If you don't get it straight away, please don't knock yourself. All right, please don't get mad at yourself, because it took us years to get it, Adam, hasn't it?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it took us probably 6 or 7 times for people explaining it in different ways for us to fully understand it. You know, bit by bit, we were like, okay, that bit makes sense, but that bit doesn't. But I would say, out of everything that we've learned, this is, the most powerful. The most powerful. And it's worth putting the time and effort into getting your head around it. Like, stay with it, and then you'll see the advantages, and you'll be blown away. And we don't like giving big claims or anything like that. You know, we're not like that. We want to keep it very conservative, very realistic. But this genuinely will blow you away, and gets us very excited.
We're very excited about it. But we also 100% realise that all you guys are at different parts of the journey. Some of you might be brand new to precious metals. You might not have ever saved in any precious metals or invested or bought any before. Some of you might already be buying precious metals. Some of you might be our customers already. So you're all at different stages. So what we always do is we just go through basics every time of why precious metals in the first place.
Yep.
And then we're going to, because this strategy is that the best way to explain
Sure.
it? Yeah, this strategy we're going to share with you tonight is more of an advanced strategy, but it's something like we said earlier. We're spending a lot of time learning it, a hell of a lot of time doing the numbers and making sure it's all what we're saying is correct. So we don't advise, but we would totally recommend that you actually watch the video several times in your and you gain the knowledge, and you get it, because if you take action on what we share with you tonight, you'll be in a better place. You'll have far more metals than what you would have otherwise in just saving in metals. Saving in metals is great anyway, long term. But this is the next stage. This is the next step up, really. It's more advanced. Yeah. So please take notice. But like I said, you can always, we'll share the video on YouTube afterwards, and you'll be able to watch it over and over again anyway. So it's not a problem. And we'll be doing more videos in the future, doing more of the how. Like what we're touching on tonight is a bit more of the theory and then some questions. But we'll be doing more videos down the line on the how, exactly how to do it. Yeah. Have I missed anything, Adam?
No, that's great. I think we should let's get into it. We've set it up well, I think. So, as James said, there's two main pillars and thinking behind buying precious metals. We'll just keep it very simple, and then we'll show you this other stuff. The first pillar and the most important is control. Your paper money in a bank is not under your control. You don't actually own it. It sits on the bank's balance sheet. And this is why countries and governments have deposit protection schemes, because there's a chance that you might not get that money back. The bank might not give it you back. You might get it from your government, maybe, but there's a chance. And that's why it's there. For me, that's a massive red flag. The fact that they even need to cover cover paper money means that, yeah, there's something that could go wrong. So control, precious metals, if it's done in the right way, you own them, you control them, and they sit on your balance sheet, your personal balance sheet, not on any other company's balance sheet, bank's balance sheet, and you can actually have them outside the banking system. So you control and own what you've worked hard for. So that's the first pillar. The second, and it is in this order for us, control is definitely, and ownership and all that kind of stuff is definitely number one. Number two is the performance of the metals. And I guess on the other side of that coin is the devaluation of paper currency. So I would guess most people, even if they don't know the reasons why, would say that paper money goes down in value over time. I think intuitively people get that. Even just the everyday people in the street, if you said to them, here's a £10 note, do you think in the future it'll be able to buy you more or less than today? They're pretty much going to say less. You might not know why, but it's kind of inbuilt in people. And metals will help you protect the value of what you've got. And when you look at the numbers and the performance over time, as paper goes down, metal goes up, and the gap between them just gets wider. So the longer you do,
especially with the amount of currency that's been printed over the last nearly 2 years. Longer than that, but it's just
recently
gone into overdrive, hasn't it? Over the last couple of years, gone into overdrive.
So they're the two pillars. Like if this is your first time kind of interacting with us, we just want to make sure that everyone understands the fundamentals of why metals in the first place.
There's many other reasons, Adam, isn't there? But they're the two main ones.
The main two.
The main one is control, the next one is the performance, but then there's many others.
If you didn't know any others, for us, that would be enough. That's enough to do something about it. So what we want to talk about today, as well as answer your questions that you've sent in and any questions that come up, so we'll get cracking with this, is something called the gold-silver ratio. And I would probably say at this point that it's probably worth taking some notes.
Because, it is.
I had to take a lot of notes when I first heard about this. But it's definitely worth kind of taking stock of this information. It's called the gold-silver ratio. And what the gold-silver ratio does is it asks one question. I'll try and keep this as simple as possible. It basically asks, If I've got 1 gram of gold, how many grams of silver can I buy? So it takes the price of gold for 1 gram of gold today, and it looks at the price. It says how many grams of silver can I get with that 1 gram of gold. Okay, and then it produces a number. So you take the one, you divide it by the other, and it gives you this ratio. Now, ratios are very strange things because when you see them on a graph, you automatically think price. Well, we do anyway. You have to kind of work your way into it, and we'll show you this in a second. The gold-silver ratio is massively underrated, misunderstood, I would guess. What you can do is you can switch between the metals at certain ratios and then switch back at different ratios, and it actually gives you free metals. Okay. Sounds too good to be true, but let us explain it.
It does work. We've spent hours and hours and hours doing the numbers on this. It works.
So I guess let me share my screen, and if you've got any questions about this, guys, please just put them in the chat box and we'll get to them. Let me do it like this. I'm just trying to pick the best slide to start with. And okay, I'll share my screen now. Can everyone see that screen with some gold, paper money, and some silver? Just give me a thumbs up or a wave or something.
Yeah, it's up now, mate.
Yeah, perfect. So the way that you do this is you switch from gold to silver and then back to gold. The traditional way of doing it is that you would physically have some gold with you, potentially. You would have to sell that gold and get cash, and then you would take that cash and buy silver. Then when you want to switch back, you would take that silver, sell it for cash, take that cash, buy gold. That's a really, really inefficient way of doing it. And I would say, unless you're dealing in really, really big quantities, it's not worth doing in that way. The way that we do it with the company that we work with, you can just switch between the two metals without having to go through cash. Because the more changes that you have to make, the more loss there is at each point. So if you can just cut out the cash, which is good for us, and just switch between the metals, it's more efficient. Okay. Please let me know if if I lose you at any point. James, you can keep me on track as well.
Yeah.
So as I said, the gold-silver ratio simply asks how many grams of silver can you get with 1 gram of gold. So you take the gold price per gram, divide it by the silver price per gram, and it gives you this ratio. Now, you don't need to be doing this calculation because there's plenty of websites out there. If you type in gold-silver ratio, you'll come up with like 5 or 6 websites straight away, and it will just give you the gold-silver ratio. So you don't need to work it out. Just understand the mechanics behind it. So the gold price per gram, we did this yesterday, £42.17 British pounds. Silver price per gram would be 59 pence. So you divide 42.17 by 0.59 at 59 pence, and it gives you a gold-silver ratio of 71.47, or just 71. You don't need it to that detail, really. And all you've got is a number, 71 as the ratio of the price of gold versus the price of silver. If you were to switch at this ratio, the ratio was then to change and you switch back, you would get more metal. Here's how it works. So this is a graph of the gold-silver ratio. So this is not price, it's not the price of gold, it's not the price of silver, it's the price of gold divided by the price of silver. So it's a bit of a weird graph. When the graph goes up, it means that you can buy more grams of silver with 1 gram of gold. Okay, so you can just get more silver for gold. I guess, well, let's say you start an 80-to-1, a ratio of 80-to-1. You can see that top line there that we've highlighted, horizontal line, 80. If you swapped 1 gram of gold at 80-to-1 to silver, you'd get 80 grams of silver. Yeah. So 80 to 1, you switch the 1, you get the 80. Fine. If you switched it back at that same point, you'd get back to 1 gram of gold. Okay. When, let's say you did that switch at 80, and you switched from 1 gram of gold to 80 grams of silver, and then the ratio went down to 60 to 1. And at 60 to 1, you switch your 80 grams of silver back into gold. You actually get more gold than you started with. Okay? Because you've not got, it's not 80 to 1 anymore. It's 60 to 1, and you've got 80 grams. So it's got to be more than just 1 gram when you switch back, because you've got 80 and the ratio is 60. So you've got more than what's required to switch and get 1 gram. Okay. As the ratio goes up, gold is relatively expensive compared to silver, and as the ratio goes down, silver is relatively more expensive than the gold. And you always switch from what is expensive to what is cheap, so you get more of it. Yeah, so that's what I've just said there. Ratio goes up, gold is expensive, silver is cheap. Ratio goes down, gold is cheap, silver is expensive. So let's give you an example. You start with 100 grams of gold, just to keep the numbers simple. At 80 to 1, you switch your gold to silver, giving you 8,000 grams of silver, or 8 kilos of silver. Okay. When the ratio goes down to 60 to 1, you switch your 8,000 grams, 8 kilos of silver, back to gold. And it would give you 133 grams of gold. So you've got a third more metal than you started with. Now, the first time I heard this, it was like voodoo. It was all a bit like, where's the metal come from?
Yeah.
But this is totally right. And you can do it. So what it would do is it will give you not just 100 grams, it would give you 133. So you got a third of a bar there. 33 more grams than you started with. And 33 grams today roughly has a market value of just under £1,400. Just to be clear, you've not bought any more metals. You have not put more money. You've not put your purse or your wallet. You've not put your hand in your pocket and bought more metals. This has cost you 0 more money.
And this is just doing it once, Adam, isn't it, too? This is just doing it once. You can keep on doing it.
This is doing it once. So you've made a 33% return. Let's say the price of gold went down. Let's say you did this once in a year, just as an example, and you got 33% more, 33% increase on what you had initially. If the precious metals market went down 10% in that year, you would still be better off because you've got physically more metal than you started with. So it's gone down 10%, but you've got 33% more. So you've made 23% in a downward year.
It protects you, doesn't it? It protects you from I'm going to say bad times, but you don't really have bad times in metals, really. But yeah, it protects you from them times, doesn't it?
So someone said here, but you incur transaction fees, don't you? Yes, you do incur transaction fees, but they're tiny. They're absolutely tiny. If it's around, say, between 6 and 8%, something like that. Yeah, between 6 and 8%. If you're making 33% and it's costing you 8%, you do it all day long. Absolute no-brainer. So yeah, you factor in that cost, but you can't lose in this. It's not like it can go to 0. The worst case scenario is you switch from one metal to the other and just stay in that metal for a bit of time. However long it takes for that ratio to happen, and there's some ratios that happen more often than others, which we'll show you in a second. You just switch back then, and you've still made that increase. You literally can't lose unless you're, I guess, impatient. It's a bit of a longer term game, this stuff. You've
got to stick to the numbers too, Adam, haven't you? You've got to be very, very disciplined in yourself. If you're doing it yourself, you've got to have your numbers and stick to them. Don't go making things up or moving the goalposts. You've got to stick to them. It's very similar to when you go into an auction. If you were to go to buy a house, you stick to your numbers, your max, your max offer. You do not go above that. You stay to that. Stick to it.
Because yeah,
Don't get emotional. Don't get emotional. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and you could be sat here saying, well, why 80 to 1, 60 to 1? Why don't you do it 100 to 1 and 40 to 1? So we've got even a bigger gap.
Do what you want.
Well, you can do that, but you've got to have a mixture of the benefit that you're getting between the numbers, but also the frequency of those numbers actually coming up. So if you go for, say, 120 ratio and 40, you might do it once in 20 years. You'll make a lot, but you'd have to, if you missed it, you've missed it. If you did it on a shorter range, you won't get as big a benefit, but it'll be more frequent, so you can do it more times. Please let me know if you've got any questions or whether we've just started speaking another language. So as an example, and this will hopefully solidify it for you. If we started here on this, let me see if I can get this laser pointer. Can you see that on the screen, laser pointer? Yeah. If we started here with £10,000 worth of gold, just as an example, and as the ratio went up and it hit 80, we switched our expensive gold, relatively speaking, to cheap silver at 80 to 1. And then as the ratio fell, we took our relatively expensive silver and switched it back to gold. Again, it hits 80, we switch it gold to silver, back to 60, silver to gold. So you can see what's happening. And this is a time frame of 20 years here. So we just keep switching every one of these. Yeah. Some years, sometimes we have to wait a bit longer. Sometimes it can happen within maybe 6 months. The way that this would work out is over 20 years, you would have made 6 switches. Okay. So think 365 days a year, over 20 years, and 6 of those days you would have done something. So it's not very labor intensive, but it turns a very passive investment into a partially active investment, and you can actually make a lot more. Well, if you'd have switched those 6 times, what would it have done in real numbers terms? Well, let's just have a look at what it would have made if you'd have not switched. So we've got a comparison. So if you'd have got £10,000 worth of gold in the year 2000, and you'd have just left it in gold for that whole time, in 2021, you'd have made just under £75,000. Not bad. From £10,000, that's a good investment. It's a good return. If you'd have put £10,000 into silver in the year 2000, in 2021, you'd have just over £60,000. So still very, very good. If you would have switched at 60, 80 and 60, 60 and 80, your £10,000 would have turned into £176,000 from switching 6 times in 20 years. The reason for that is you get this doubling effect. And the doubling effect is, one, the price of the metals goes up over time. We can see that from 10,000 to 75,000 or 10,000 to 60,000. But also when you're doing the switch, you're getting 33% more metals, or 28% when you took the fees off, or 27%, whatever it works out to be. So doing that 6 times, you get the increased amount of metals, plus you've got more metals to actually go up in price when they do.
Each time, yeah.
It means that you're left with a heck of a lot more in a 20-year period. Now, some people have got more than 10,000 invested. Some people have got 20,000, 50,000. It doesn't matter. The principle is exactly the same. It's just switching between these 2 ratios. Now, does it have to be 80 and 60? No, it doesn't. We've just picked those because there's a high probability through looking back through history that the ratio interacts with those numbers for whatever reason. You could use a tighter spread. You could go 75 and 65, which would happen more often, but the difference between those numbers is not as big, so you wouldn't get a 33% return. You'd probably get like a 20% return or whatever. So it's entirely up to you how you actually do this. But as you can see, you get 101,000 for switching, extra 101,000. So I'm just going to go to the chat box. There's a few questions flashing up. So does the gold and silver move in different directions often? Yeah, it can move together. Even if it moves together and both metals go up, the ratio can still be different. Because if gold goes up by 10%, let's say, from $2,000 an ounce to 2,200, and silver goes up from $20 an ounce to $22 an ounce, they've both gone up 10%, but the ratio is would still be different because one's gone up by 200 and one's gone up by 2. So when you divide the gold silver ratio, you would get an increased ratio because the gold is more expensive to the silver.
So it will take you a little bit of time to get your head around this for most people, anyway.
Yeah.
So, like I said earlier, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because your mind always seems to revert to price. This isn't
Yeah.
price ratio. Yeah. It's the difference between the price of gold and the price of silver.
If you really think about this, you can actually forget about price. And I know that sounds like, it's a bit of a like blasphemy in the precious metals world because everyone focuses on price. But if you forget about price and you just switch metals at certain points, the price can kind of do what it wants. If it goes up, great, you get this doubling effect. If it only stayed the same, if the price of gold was $2,000 an ounce, to keep it simple, today, and in 20 years it was still $2,000 an ounce, you would still benefit because you've got physically more metals at the same price. It could even go down in price and you would still have more. So this is, you're not in control of price, but you can be have some control of the amount of metals that you've got. And it doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to put your hand in your pocket to do this.
Well, everything we do, Adam, is all about helping you take back control of your own personal economy. And just saving in precious metals outside of the banking system, you're already doing that. And this is another step forward.
Yeah,
it's a step up the hill. Really, it's more advanced, but it works. It works. We've done the number. We've been around the block on this, haven't we, Adam? And
yeah, many times. The company that we work with for precious metals, they're actually going to automate this process. And this is where it kind of, you pour petrol on the fire.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So imagine having this gold silver ratio that you can switch between the metals, but you didn't have to watch it every week, every 2 weeks, every month. You didn't have to look up what the gold silver ratio is. You literally go into your account, you type in the ratios that you want to switch at, and the account will email you and say, the gold silver ratio is now at this level, which is the level that you chose. Log into your account, click on switch, and it will switch for you. It'll switch to, let's say, gold to silver. And then rather than getting an email when it hits the other ratio, let's say 60 in this example, it doesn't send you an email to say, log onto your account and do the second switch. It actually just switches back for you automatically, hands-free. And then it will email you to say, your metals have been switched back automatically and you've made 10%. Happy days. So, I hope even if you don't grasp the nuts and bolts of it and it's gone over your head a little bit about the ratio, because it is a bit, it still gets me sometimes. I have to go, right, ratio, not price. I hope you can kind of get the point that this is a really powerful tool that you can utilize to put you in a better position and to have more metals, physically more metals. Someone's asked a question here. Don't all precious metals move in the same direction most of the time? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. What we're kind of saying with this is, it doesn't really matter. And even if they do, like we said, move in the same direction, it's not by the same amount. So it's, sometimes silver will move a little bit. Go ahead,
like silver generally sort of runs alongside gold, but then it's like an excited child. It always seems to overtake. It always seems to be more
volatile.
Volatile, is that the right word?
Yeah.
It's not volatile compared to crypto, is it? But it's more volatile compared to gold. So that's one of the ratios again, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
Does anyone have any questions about the gold silver ratio? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Is it confusing? Does it make sense?
And just one more point now, Adam, just before we're only talking gold and silver here. There's also platinum and palladium. We can do it with them too. And we've been looking at Adam too, haven't we? So that's just something else to add in there. You're not just looking at gold and silver.
Makes sense and interesting. Great. Thanks for the feedback. Great. Okay. Well, look, I think at this point, let's switch up and go to some questions that you've sent in. So I'll have a look on here. Let's see what kind of things people want to know. What have we got here? So someone's asked, would you store gold in a bank, in a safety deposit box in a bank?
It's an easy answer to that one, Adam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No chance.
Yeah.
Not in a million years.
I think when you're taking money out of the bank to then put it back in the bank as metal, it just doesn't make sense. We don't think anyway. Someone's asked, can they buy precious metals with their business? Yeah, you can. It's a really popular thing, and it is a good idea because you can offset things like any storage fees and things like that. And if you've got profits within your company that you don't want to take out personally and then buy metals because you'll be taxed on it, you can just have the company buying the metals. Obviously, speak with an accountant about any tax implications and things like that. But yeah, pretty straightforward, and a lot of people do it.
I'll just add something in there, Adam. How do I explain it? Well, this is just from my experience. Many accountants will tell you can't do it, but a lot of them are just lazy. They've never done it before. It's out of the box stuff. This is think on. So sometimes you need an out of the box accountant, somebody that's does do things differently, or is willing to look at things differently. But the average, how would I put it? Average Joe, the average accountant would probably say you can't do it. Why would you do that? Or they'd question it, or what, But you can do it, and it's definitely the way forward in our view.
Yeah. Some people just don't know as well. I think when people aren't aware of what's possible,
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, they instantly would say no or have some resistance. I spoke to an accountant not long ago actually and just said, how does it work for the tax of buying metals through a company? And they said, in 20 years, you're the first person that's ever asked me. So that just shows it's not they just don't know. It's just they've just not approached it before. But we found
that takes us back to what I said earlier, everyone. That takes us back to do the opposite to the masses.
Yeah.
Just do the opposite to the masses. If you want to get on, and again, this is just how it works. Go and do your own research. Please don't just believe us. But generally, I think in most cases, if you look over there and see what everyone else is doing, if you do the opposite, you'll be in a better place. It's always worked for me anyway.
Yeah. So someone's put, when will the company go to automatic switching? It's going to be in the near future over the next couple of months, but we'll let you know. We'll be shouting from the rooftops about it.
We're not putting any dates out there yet, just in case they move and we get.
Yeah, it's yeah, but it's not going to be long, and it'll be worth the wait for sure.
Yeah.
So a couple of questions that have come in are about pensions, and depending on where you are in the world, this can look different. So someone's asked about moving their 401k into precious metals. Now this is 401k, for anyone that doesn't know, is just a retirement account in the US. There's many different versions of it in the US, IRAs and things like that. And we've actually had a lot of people coming to us asking this in the past, and we had no solution. We're in the UK. Knowing the pension rules in this country is hard enough, never mind in another country.
It's a bit frustrating at the time, wasn't it?
It was, because it's a big need, and it's something that people they work all their life for the pension, and if it's in the stock market and it drops 50%, then you can see.
They're worried about it, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. So what we did is we actually partnered with a company in the States that what they actually do, they specialize in, is taking retirement accounts of any form and putting them into precious metal retirement accounts. And it's all physical metal, and it's all accounted for and audited and all this kind of stuff. And it's quite easy to do, and it's quite quick to turn around. So if you're in the US, definitely possible, and we can send you point you in the right direction. In the UK, someone's asked here about a pension in the UK. It's something that we're looking into in a big way. Again, because we get so many people asking us about it, and
vitally asking us about it.
We don't know the ins and outs, and we try to stay in our lane about what we are experts at, but we'll partner with experts if we think it's a good option. We don't just want to say, oh yeah, we've Googled someone and this seems to be all right. We want to make sure that it is a really positive move, that you're not overpaying to do it, and that you can get a really good solution. So if you're in the US, it's easy. We've been doing it already. If you're in other countries, just bear with us, but we will, it'll be worth the wait, and we will find a good solution. Other questions coming in. That's fine. People saying they want to know who it is in the US. That's fine. We'll be able to send you the info. That's all good. Someone's saying they would like to convert, say, 20% of their savings. And they'd like to, this is another good point, and they'd like to hold it in an account where it generates income. So this, you could also see this switching as actually generating income for you, rather than just gold that doesn't usually produce cash flow, doesn't produce an interest rate. It just sits there and appreciates over time. If you're switching, you could say, well, yeah, it's actually generating income for you. So just get in contact with us. You can go to our website, fill in a contact form, and we'll have a chat and find out the best option for you. Someone's asked here, what about the VAT on gold when doing the ratio switch? So there's no VAT on gold to start with. There's only VAT on silver, palladium, and platinum. But if you store those metals in a bonded warehouse, which is what we do by default, then you don't have to pay the VAT either. So it just doesn't come into it.
Which is a vault, by the way. So please don't think it is actually a warehouse.
It's just
it's what it's called.
A vault in a duty-free zone. That's how we always describe it. It's just called a bonded warehouse. It's just a type of vault. Someone's asked me here, before the automated switching comes in, can they do manual switches in the meantime? Yes, you can. But if you're going to do that, probably just give us a call or send us an email, and we can guide you through it, just so that you know. Just to guide you through it. It's not too difficult, the actual application of it, but it just takes, again, a bit of getting your head around. Once you've done it once or twice, you'll be like, yeah, this is fine.
I'll just add something in there, Adam, too. As you could probably tell, looking at Adam and myself, we're not salesmen. We're not salesmen. We're here to help you be in a better place financially and do what's best for you, not us. So please don't be shy. If you need to speak to us, it'll be Adam you speak to. He's very good at what he does. I know I'm shining his own, bigging him up a bit, but he's very good at what he does. He asks you all the right questions to help you decide, to empower you to make the right decisions, to get you where you want to be, obviously without advising you. But it's, get the most out of him. Get what you can out of him. Just honestly, we're not going to try and mind malg you and sell you anything, because it's not what we do. It's complete opposite.
So someone's asked here, is what we do linked to the banks? Definitely not. The complete opposite, if there is such a thing. Everything we do for ourselves and for people that we help, it's outside of the banking system.
Completely outside, isn't it? I mean, obviously we need the banks still to do transfers and things, don't we? But that's,
someone said that they own physical silver. Should they sell the silver and buy gold, or is a mixture better? Yeah, what do you think on this, James? Because you have all four metals, don't you?
Yeah, I like, well, do you know, if I already had them metals, I wouldn't go, this is just me personally, I wouldn't go changing them. If I just wanted more gold, I would just buy more gold if I possibly could. But I'm more of a silver man now. I used to be more gold. But I've done a lot of research over the years, and I actually buy more silver now than what I do gold, a vast amount more silver than what I do gold, because I see a bigger future for silver. If you really look into it, again, if you visit our YouTube channel, we've got a video. What is it called? What is it named? Silver. I think it's Silver: The Shining Advantages of Silver or something.
Yeah.
I can't know. But we've got a video on there talking about silver, the uses of silver. There's thousands of uses of silver compared to gold. Ridiculous amounts. And if you just simple thing, well, the two main areas are solar power,
electric cars.
The use of silver within them, and it's a booming industries. They're going up the way. So there's not just that. There's so many uses that you wouldn't even think of.
Yeah.
For silver, and gold is hoarded where silver is used up.
Yes.
So there's actually, from my point of view, from what my research, there's actually less silver than what there is gold. Again, but don't believe me. Please go and do your own research.
Yeah, do your research. Yeah.
So I'm a silver man now. I never used to be.
Someone's asked here, how do you exchange our metals for goods and services? Again, as James said, we have to use banks. It's the only way that we do it. So you would sell your metal to a company, and they would give you cash. They would a bank transfer or whatever. But some people say to us, can you go into a shop and actually spend your metals, not in the form that they're in, and not currently. I can never imagine going into a grocery store or supermarket with a gold coin or silver coin or gold bar and taking it to the till. It would just be it's not practical.
On the other side of that though, Adam, on the other side of that, I totally get that, mate, but there is countries in the world that would accept it. There is places that I know of that would accept it. And,
sure.
and if it came to it, and I always think, well, something that Charlie always says, isn't it? Is if you held some gold with you, like an ounce of gold with you at all times, wherever you go in the world, it's recognizable worldwide as being money, and you'd always be able to exchange it for a flight home if you needed it, or some food, or a bed for a couple of nights of the week, or everybody gets it, don't they? I mean, as children, we were brought up watching. Well, we were brought up watching pirate films and gold and silver. And it's our
age now, James.
Yeah, I know. It's in here, isn't it? We all know it's.
Yeah.
If you ask, I mean, from our previous seminars, Adam, we used to ask people, didn't we? We used to have the cash and the gold. We used to say that's £50 in currency, in fiat currency. That's £50 worth of gold. If we were to give you one or the other, keep it for 10 years. What would you rather have?
Yeah.
And everybody points to the gold. Everybody.
Nobody ever. Before we've even taught them the reasons why. They just instinctively know.
People know. Yeah. And then we always ask them the question, well, why do you save in currency then? And even worse, why do you save that currency in a bank when they're just laughing at you and taking from you?
It's like a double threat.
Risking your savings, taking your savings, going bust or whatever, and going, yeah, cheers, thank you. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
So we've had more people talking about pensions. I think it's time that we, we really stepped it up on our part of finding a good solution, because it seems to be a real pain point for people.
It is, yeah. That's what we are doing, Adam, isn't it? We are doing that. So.
Yeah. We just want to make sure, again, we do it all right, and
it has to be right. Yeah.
Someone's asked here what will happen to their savings in the new system. Short answer is we don't know.
There's probably about 5 people in the world or something that actually knows that, isn't there? Something daft.
Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. It will be learning like everyone else. I think rather than for us, if it is you're just saving paper money in a bank for the long term, then that's what we put into metals. Just take that out of the system so that whatever does happen, you're protected and you can live to fight another day, and it's going to go up in value over time. So,
in our view, whatever happens, you're better off having your savings, your money in precious metals anyway, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Because all currencies eventually go off the cliff. They're just going down. Precious metals.
Yeah. You can see it through history as well. Like every paper currency that's ever been in existence, other ones that are still circulating now, have all gone to zero. Every single one, 100%. So, history paints.
Designed that way, aren't they? They're designed that way.
Yeah, they're designed that way. Totally.
This is a good saying we like to always say: you can't print gold.
Yeah.
you can't print gold. That's the key point.
And if you can, give us a call because we've got so someone's asked here, how liquid is gold in case of emergency? The way we do it, you can have cash within 2 days. So yeah, very liquid. Depends how you do it, but yeah, 2 days, very, very easy.
There's 2 days max in it, really. You normally get the next day, don't you? But
yeah. We just say couple of days. It's just bank processing time. You know, banks aren't always the quickest. So yeah, if you do it the right way, it can set you up properly. Any last questions about anything we've mentioned or anything to do with the gold-silver ratio? We've got to the end of our questions now, so we don't want to keep you any longer than we need to. Anything else anyone would like to add? Is there a backup system for transactions if the internet goes down? Yeah. So everything the way that we do it, there is digital and hard copies of everything. And you know, we have an online account, which is very nice platform to manage your metals and to navigate and to switch and do all this stuff. But remember, this is just a front end platform, and behind that is real physical metals. That's why it takes a bit of time from when you purchase the metals. You actually send your funds for them actually being purchased and showing on your account, because there's a physical manual part in it where you actually buy them, and it's a change of legal ownership. So that's how you can know that yes, something's actually going on. But if the internet goes down, so what? Your metals are still there. The physical metals are still legally owned by you from day one. No questions asked.
And when we're talking about metals, just to be very clear on this, we're talking about physical precious metals, physical that you can touch.
Yeah.
Not paper gold.
Yeah, there's many versions of investing in gold. The only one that we look at is physical metals that you legally own. Yeah. Everything else is just a promise, and promises are good.
Don't go near it. And that was the key point when we went on the lookout, on the search for a company to work with 5-6 years ago. Adam, now I forget.
6 years ago. Yeah.
That was one of the key points. If that company was to go bust, or if the world was to go bang, or whatever, you know, is that metal? Whose is that metal? Who? Yeah. It had to be under your name from day one. That was one of the key points.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, one hell of a lot of customers of ours are Gurkhas. I don't know if you know what a Gurkha is, but he's from Nepal and in the British Army. They've got big knives, big cookeries, and we'd have thousands of them chasing us down the street with them if we were to. We want to sleep at night. It's not just that. We want to sleep at night. We do what's right. It's as simple as that. It's not difficult.
I think it's worth saying as well, when we were, this is what we do for ourselves as well in our families. So it's not just a good idea that we're telling people, it's what we do ourselves.
That's what we preach.
Yeah, and I guess selfishly, you tend to do a lot more research for yourself, don't you, than for other people. And yeah, we went hard. We've been in the vaults. We've touched it, tasted it, seen it. We've done everything. So
all my family do it, and my little boy did it when he was 3 days old. I set him up a precious metals account.
Yeah.
So he now owns gold, silver, platinum, and palladium.
He's a catch, isn't he? Really all that metal he's got.
Yeah, he's going to be well set up for life, isn't he?
So perfect. Well, if there's no other questions, thanks so much for your time. I hope it's been of some value. We are definitely going to do follow-up videos to the gold-silver ratio, because it needs to be reworked. It needs to be looked at from different angles and probably more clearly explained from our part, as well as doing some kind of how-tos on how to execute on this, the practicalities of it. We might put some mini short videos together so you can just watch a snapshot of how it works. Great. Thanks so much for your time. Have a great weekend. And if there's any way we can help you, please get in contact with us. Feel free to subscribe to YouTube, BitTube, Telegram. We'll be pumping more and more information out to empower you to make decisions that will benefit you. So
exactly.
Great. Well said. All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Hey,
Pleasure.
nice meeting you.
Have a good weekend. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.